Hi everyone, this is Liz Striegel. I will be spending this presentation speaking to you about paid family and medical leave. Specifically, this proposal presents a research project that will analyze states that have adopted paid family leave and evaluate the feasibility of implementing those types of programs at the national level. This presentation is structured in 4 parts. First, I will discuss current federal family and medical leave policy. Second, I will detail paid family leave programs that have been implemented at the state level, specifically in California and New Jersey. Third, I will propose a research project that will gather data regarding the paid family and medical leave laws in California and New Jersey via employer and employee surveys, and provide an evaluation strategy that will analyze the practicality and feasibility of expanding such programs to a national program that provides universal access to paid leave. Finally, I will discuss the policy implications of this research. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to send me an email and I'll be happy to respond. Thank you. Prior to 1993, the United States had no national family and medical leave policy. Some employees had access to leave through union contracts or employer policies, but coverage provided under these provisions was rarely comprehensive and lacked federal protection. In February 1993, President Clinton signed into law the Family and Medical Leave Act, also known as the FMLA. The FMLA is a landmark policy which guaranteed up to 12 work weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave in a 12-month period to eligible employees for specified family and medical leave reasons. Here are a few remarks from President Clinton on the day FMLA became law.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think all of us should acknowledge that it was America's families who have beaten the gridlock in Washington to pass family leave. Now millions of our people will no longer have to choose between their jobs and their families. The law guarantees the right of up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave per year when it's urgently needed at home to care for a newborn child or an ill family member. This bill will strengthen our families, and I believe it will strengthen our businesses and our economy as well. And I know that men and women are more productive when they are sure they won't lose their jobs because they're trying to be good parents, good children. Our businesses should not lose the services of these dedicated Americans. And over the long run, the lessons of the most productive companies in the world, here at home and around the world, are that those who put their people first are those who will triumph in the global economy. The business leaders who have already instituted family and medical leave understand this, and I'm very proud of some of the business leaders who are here today who represent not only themselves but others all across America who were ahead of all of us who make laws in doing what is right by our families. Family and medical leave is a matter of pure common sense and a matter of common decency. It will provide Americans what they need most, peace of mind. Never again will parents have to fear losing their jobs because of their families.
I am certainly pleased to be here today to talk about FMLA, and because it is, in fact, one of the most important and effective pieces of legislation ever signed by this Congress, by this House of Representatives, over 20 years ago. We all know life is about choices. FMLA makes choices easier. It gives you the opportunity to choose between a sick parent and keeping your job. It gives you the opportunity to choose between a newborn and keeping your job. It gives you the opportunity to say to your employer, I'm a great employee. I need some help. Can you help me? And having been an employer, I know how important it is to say, yes, we give you the choice, and your job is going to be safe. So I want to thank everyone who understands and recognizes the significance of this legislation, and say to the members of this House, we have much work to do to make it better, but certainly it's a great start. Thank you.
The FMLA only applies to employers that meet certain criteria. An employer is covered if they are a private sector employer who employs or has employed 50 or more employees in 20 or more work weeks in the current or preceding calendar year, a public agency, including a local, state, or federal government agency, regardless of the number of employees it employs, or a public or private elementary or secondary school, regardless of the number of employees it employs. Further, employees are eligible for FMLA leave if they work for a covered employer, have worked for the employer for at least 12 months, have at least 1,250 hours of service in the past 12 months, and work at a worksite where at least 50 employees are employed within 75 miles of the worksite. Eligible employees may take FMLA leave for the birth of a son or daughter, or placement of a son or daughter with the employee for adoption or foster care, to care for a spouse, son, daughter, or parent who has a serious health condition, and for the employee's own serious health condition that makes the employee unable to perform the essential functions of his or her job. Eligible employees may take up to 12 work weeks of leave in a 12-month period. Employers are required to continue group health insurance coverage for an employee on FMLA leave under the same terms and conditions as if the employee had not taken leave. Upon return from FMLA leave, an employee must be restored to his or her original job or to an equivalent job with equivalent pay, benefits, and other terms and conditions of employment. Recently, there has been an expanded demand for and a surge of activism in favor of paid family leave programs. This is due to changing family and work patterns in the United States, which include increased maternal labor force participation, rising male participation in parenting and family caregiving, the aging of the population, and the accompanying growth in the need for elder care. Additionally, proponents of paid leave state that employees simply cannot afford to take unpaid leave, and cite a 2000 Department of Labor survey that found that 78% of employees who needed but did not take family or medical leave could not take it because they could not afford to be without pay. As has often been the case in the history of the United States, state-level initiatives can serve as valuable testing grounds for the development of national policies that enhance public welfare. California and New Jersey are noteworthy states that have developed their own extensive and state-funded paid family leave programs. The following slides detail both programs. On September 23, 2002, California passed the nation's first comprehensive paid family leave program. Modeled after California's already established state disability insurance system, referred to as SDI, the family leave program is funded entirely by an employee-paid payroll tax. California's program is nearly universal in its coverage. Virtually all private sector and nonprofit sector workers are included, regardless of the size of the employer. Unlike the FMLA, workers do not need to have been with their current employer for any specific period of time to be eligible. They need only to have earned $300 or more in an SDI-covered job during any quarter in the base period, which is 5 to 17 months before filing a paid family leave claim. The program covers eligible employees who go on leave to bond with a new biological, adopted, or foster child during the first year after a child is born or placed with the family, and/or who are needed to care for certain seriously ill parent, child, spouse, or registered domestic partner. The law provides eligible employees up to 6 weeks of wage replacement leave at 55% of their usual weekly earnings, which was up to a maximum benefit of $1,011 per week in 2012. Unlike the FMLA, California's family leave program does not require employers to continue group health insurance benefits or to restore the employee to the same job when they return to work. The California Work and Family Coalition provides this video to better explain the California Paid Family Leave Program.
Family leave should be affordable. In California, we have the State Disability Insurance Program, which provides income for workers while they are on leave. The SDI program is funded by employee payroll deductions. Almost all California employees contribute to this program. So if you contribute to this program, you should be able to use it when you need it the most. The Disability Insurance Program, or the DI program, provides income to workers when they are unable to work due to a non-work-related injury or illness, pregnancy, or childbirth. The Paid Family Leave Program, or the PFL program, provides income to workers when they need to take time off to care for a seriously ill child, parent, spouse, or registered domestic partner, or to bond with a new child. It's important that more Californians become aware of and use the DI and PFL programs for two reasons. These programs help make family leave affordable, and these programs are entirely funded by worker contributions, so they should be able to use them when they need them the most. Workers should not have to choose between their family's economic security and health and well-being. The DI and PFL program protect California workers from having to make that choice.
In 2009, New Jersey became the second state to offer paid family leave. Under the Family Leave Insurance provision of the New Jersey Temporary Disability Benefits Law, employees are eligible to receive partial wage replacement in the form of temporary disability insurance benefits if they have worked for 20 weeks in covered New Jersey employment and have earned 1,000 times the New Jersey minimum wage during the 52 weeks preceding leave. Eligible employees may take leave if they are temporarily disabled for medical reasons, including pregnancy and childbirth, wish to bond with a newborn or newly adopted child, or are needed to provide care for a seriously ill family member. Benefits are 2/3 of an employee's average weekly wage, up to $584. The New Jersey Family Leave Insurance Program does not require an employer contribution and is 100% funded by an employee payroll tax. In 2014, the taxable wage base will be $31,500, and the maximum yearly deduction will be $31.50. As mentioned earlier, this presentation focuses on a proposed research project that will gather data regarding the paid family and medical leave laws in California and New Jersey via employer and employee surveys, and provide an evaluation strategy that will analyze the practicality and feasibility of expanding such programs to a national program that provides universal access to paid leave. The purpose of this study is to understand whether an analysis of the state paid family and medical leave policies in California and New Jersey would indicate that a nationwide paid leave policy in the United States is practical and feasible. Specifically, are the quantitative and qualitative successes of the state programs indicators of potential for a national policy? Or do the struggles and challenges that the programs have faced indicate probable failure if expanded nationally? This proposal outlines a research study that will address these questions and provide recommendations to policymakers for future legislation. Key aspects from this purpose that will be discussed in detail during this section include explanation of how practical and feasible will be measured for the purpose of this study, how quantitative and qualitative data will be collected and analyzed, and how analysis of the state programs will be used to develop policy recommendations for a nationwide policy. Practical will be defined as to whether implementation of paid leave programs in California and New Jersey have increased the availability of leave to employees wishing to take it for the birth and bonding of a new child or to care for an ill family member. Practical will be measured by comparing the number of individuals who needed and were able to take family and medical leave before and after paid leave was implemented. In 2000, the U.S. Department of Labor surveyed the nation with a similar question regarding the FMLA and found that 78% of employees who needed but did not take family or medical leave could not take it because they could not afford to be without pay. It is my hope that this measure of practical will answer the question as to whether the successes of the state programs are indicators of potential for a national policy. Feasible will be defined as whether the methods used to implement the state paid family leave programs in California and New Jersey would be acceptable at the federal level. Feasible will be measured based on employer and employee surveys that evaluate the impact felt from policy implementation. For example, New Jersey imposed an employee payroll tax to pay for their temporary disability insurance program. Employers are not responsible for continuing to pay employees while out on leave. Therefore, I might expect that employers would report little to no financial burden when employees are out on leave. However, would employees report burden from the payroll tax? Do they believe that the tax is worthwhile so that paid leave exists when they need it? Further, would the federal government be able to impose a national payroll tax to fund a temporary disability program? Proposing an employee tax in the current political and economic climate could be risky to a politician. It is my hope that this measure of feasible will answer the question as to whether any struggles and/or challenges encountered indicate probable failure if expanded nationally. This research project will consist of 4 surveys in total. 2 surveys of the California population, 1 of employees and 1 of employers, and 2 surveys of the New Jersey population, 1 of employees and 1 of employers. As mentioned earlier, it is hypothesized that an employee survey will help measure the practicality of paid family leave, meaning are more individuals able to take leave after paid leave is implemented, and an employer survey will help measure the feasibility of paid family leave, meaning are methods used to implement paid family leave acceptable at the federal level. The employee survey will be a random telephone survey. The target population will be U.S. adults age 18 or older. General information to be collected for each individual surveyed includes age, gender, and employer type, specifically whether they work for a private employer, the public sector, or a school. In the survey, interviewers will determine whether the household contains at least one person 18 years of age or older. The interviewer will first ascertain whether the individual had experience taking or attempting to take family leave before the paid family leave program of their state was implemented. If the individual indicates that they do, they will be categorized into one of 3 categories: did not have a need for family leave, took family leave or needed family leave but did not take it. At this point, the individual will be given the opportunity to provide as much or as little additional information regarding their leave circumstances. The next part of the survey will focus on the individual's access to family leave after paid leave was implemented. The individual will be categorized into one of 4 categories: have not had a need for paid family leave, currently taking paid family leave, have taken paid family leave, or needed paid family leave but did not take it. These categories are important because this research project focuses on the individuals who have taken or attempted to take family and medical leave. There is a very applicable population affected by these paid leave programs, and the representative sampling that this survey will achieve results in a properly balanced cross-section. The employer survey will be a random survey of business work sites. General information to be collected for each work site surveyed includes business contact information, number of employees employed, and information regarding additional work sites located within the state. In the survey, interviewers will first determine whether the employer was in existence before paid family leave was implemented. If so, the employer will be classified into one of 2 categories: did not have employees who took family leave, or did have employees who took family leave. For employers that did have employees who took family leave, they will be asked whether or not they found family leave to be burdensome to business operations and will be given the opportunity to provide as much or as little information regarding their administration of such leave. The next part of the survey will focus on the employer's experience with family leave after paid leave was implemented. The employer will be categorized into one of two categories: have not had employees take paid family leave, or have had employees take paid family leave, including individuals currently taking leave. If they have or have had employees that take paid leave, an additional questionnaire will be administered regarding their experience with paid family leave and how it compares to before family leave was a paid benefit. Once the surveys have been completed, the data will be analyzed from two perspectives. First, each state will have a data set that compares family leave practices before and after paid leave was implemented. An idea of whether paid leave has been utilized more frequently by a wider range of individuals should be learned here. Second, the data specific to paid family leave effects from each state will be compared. Since each state's program differs slightly, the experiences of both employers and employees will be compared. Hopefully, this will lend insight into what policy parts are more or less effective in practice. In order to develop effective policy recommendations, the data collected and analysis completed during the research project will next be thought of in terms of national implications. California is the United States' most populous state, and New Jersey is the 11th. It can be presumed that if a social policy can be successful in these states, then there is a possibility of expanding it to the national level. Once data has been collected and analyzed, it is expected that recommendations can be made on how to expand a hybrid paid family leave program nationally. Specifically, these recommendations depend on: have employers found less restrictive eligibility requirements burdensome? What reaction have employees had to the new and/or higher payroll taxes? Could an agency such as Social Security administer paid leave? Or would a new or expanded federal agency be necessary? Will family leave become a more complicated policy as the definition of family continues to evolve? Can the federal government maintain its enforcement of continuation of health benefits and job restoration while beginning to enforce paid leave? A national paid leave program that would enable all workers to take the time they need to bond with a new child, care for a seriously ill family member, or recover from their own illness without being forced to choose between meeting basic human needs and the economic well-being of their families is both desirable, but hopefully after this research project, also practical and feasible. It is my hope that this proposal will be adopted and we will be one step closer to a U.S. policy that allows for the current protections of FMLA, supplemented with a percentage of wage replacement. Thank you very much for listening.
We rely on the good work of our people, but sometimes people need time off to care for a family member. What works for us is a family leave policy that lets our people depend on us while their family depends on them. Starting August 5th, if your company has 50 or more employees, the Family and Medical Leave Act provides up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave and job security. Employees keep health benefits while caring for a sick parent, spouse, or child. The Family and Medical Leave Act. Good for families, good for business.